And we're live. Okay. Um this is this is my first attempt at a live stream in the cave. And I just want to test it out. I just want to see what it's like doing a live stream. I'm using my phone. This is what I usually record from. And normally when I do my live streams, it's on my computer up in the office. It's not in the man cave. And it's always because I'm just streaming video games or whatever or whatnots. And I thought, let's give this a try. This is streaming right from my phone, what I usually do my recordings on when I'm in the man cave. And I thought this might be kind of fun, just to give it a try. I got a big mess down here, and I'm thinking, yeah, I gotta clean it up. And the other thing I'm kind of curious is how the live chat works with this, because I don't know if I can actually see this through my phone or what. If anybody starts chatting, I don't know if I'll be able to see it. I'm gonna start messing around with my phone here, just for the heck of it, and see what's going on with the live chat. I don't know. If I don't see it, I don't see it. But that kind of sucks. Then I won't be able to make any comments. Highlight saved in your channel is what? Yeah, it's kind of weird. Oh, I don't want that setting here. Like I said, this is my first time, so bear with me on this one for trying to stream from the phone. I always see people doing this, and I'm like, how do they do that? How do you stream from your phone? Like, how do you, like, every time I do it, I'm always doing it through the OBS Studio, which I have connected to YouTube. And yeah, so this is just an experimental. Let's see how this rolls. Let's see if I can see any comments that pop up or chat. Actually, yeah, I'm not seeing any option here for chat. I don't know how it works here with the phone. At least 1 minute of video is needed for a highlight. What's a highlight? Anyways, yeah. So I'm kind of going through my stuff here. I got my Pandora incident game here. Everything's kind of a mess in here in the man cave. Let me straighten this out here. Everybody can see it. Hopefully my voice is loud enough. Again, I'm used to doing this in my upstairs area in my office, where I have my microphone set up and the computer's all set up and it's all set up ready to go. But as I said, I don't know if I can see comments. So and if I can't, then that means I'm going to have to do another setup where I have a computer or my laptop or something set up so I can see comments, because right now I'm not seeing anything on my screen. I don't know if there's any kind of setting or anything I'm supposed to do to see that kind of stuff. I just don't know. Just gonna keep playing around with it until it works. But anyways, yeah. So I got the Pandora incident here. I'm just I got a huge mess of stuff that I'm just kind of looking at here. Start sorting through it, and hopefully, if anybody has any comments, they can throw it down there, and I hope I can see them. Hope I can see them on my phone. Otherwise, this is just going to be me talking to myself. Oh, hey, I got one. Hello. Okay. All right. We got a comment. That was what I was worried about. I'm like, I've never done this before. So I'm all, this is going to be all over the place. This is going to be a really crazy stream right now. But I always thought this would be a fun thing to do, to just, chillax in my man cave and just leave the camera running, have some fun, talk. Of course, if anybody has any questions about the cave, if they want to know what's going on behind me, around me, anything, if they want to have any insight as to what I have on the shelves or anything like that, I'm always willing to, throw that in the chat and we'll talk about it. Got this game here. Amadar. Willie from Arcade USA sent me this a little whiles back, and I don't think I've actually done a video on it. Um, I've tried this game out a few times. It's kind of an interesting game. Now I gotta turn that around here. I don't. It's this is Parker Brothers, so the box opens like this. You know, unlike the Intellivision um, games or some of the other, most of the other Atari games, kind of like this Popeye here, where it opens up at the top there, and you take the cartridge out. The Amadar, it's like this, and my Frogger one for the Intellivision actually is like this too. So kind of interesting. But yeah, when you look at this, it kind of looks like a Donkey Kong game, doesn't it? Like you got this giant ape guy here, and you got this dude here. He kind of looks like Mario. I mean, yeah, he's blue, but he's got the mustache, and he's got the hat, and he's got the kind of the overalls, and you see the big giant ape here. There's no princess or girlfriend or anything like that to save. I really don't know what the heck he's supposed to be, like some kind of like native dude. Almost like something you would see in like Jungle Hunt. And then you got this pig floating through the air. I don't know, I don't understand that. But yeah, this is a Parker Brothers Amadar game. It's really just like a painting thing where you kind of, here's the back of it, if you can see that. I know that the lighting's not the best, but it's like a, you know, you got this kind of like grid-like background, and you kind of have to go around and like fill in the squares. There's a few games like this that I've seen. It's okay game. I mean, I have played it on the Atari a few times, and so yeah, maybe I should do like a full-on video on this. I never understand the pig. Yeah, I don't either. It just seems like maybe a lot of times these people who had to do the artwork, they weren't given a whole lot of information on the game. They were probably just given a little bit of background, a little bit of a story, and then they were just sent off to go and do the artwork. Because like, seriously, like, what is that? I mean, okay, I get it. This is not an official game. I mean, this is, I don't know if this where I believe this is like, I don't know if it's Europe or if it's South America, but it's definitely not American or North American, and that is definitely not Popeye. That is, you know, first of all, he's got like a root beer in his hand. He's kind of like maybe the guy from Tapper. If you recall the game Tapper, which I believe in some cases they named it Root Beer Tapper or something like that, where you're a bartender and you're serving beers, and then I think at some point it became like root beer because they didn't want to have video games pushing booze or whatever. It was goofy, but yeah, he kind of looks like that. But he's got like this cake in there, and what is there? There's a turkey. Some bread, what was that, sausages, and there's some kind of like, what's that thing? Some kind of melon back there. And yeah, this is Popeye. However, they do give you a little bit of a screenshot in the back here, which wasn't common with a lot of the earlier. Hey, John Rogers, how's it going? It wasn't popular with the Atari games back in the day. I mean, a lot of the boxes didn't have the gameplay on the back, right? And when they did, you know, this is clearly not the game. They did this. Like this is like a drawing of the game. This is like an illustration or a painting of how the game might look, but it's not the game. I mean, Popeye does not look like that on the Atari 2600. And it's interesting. They show a picture here. I guess that's not like, maybe this was the Atari 2800 joystick. It kind of looks like the Atari 7800 joystick, but I know there was like an Atari 28. I think it was 2800, where it had the body of an Atari 7800, but it was actually a 2600, and it was like sold overseas somewhere. But that's interesting, and I love the story that this comes with. Now, keep in mind, this is supposed to be Popeye. So the story goes, Olivia, not olive oil, Olivia, is confined in the top hole, which fills with many terrible creatures. What creatures? Olivia throws the cabbage with the mysterious power which can give Popeye energy. Oh, okay, cabbage instead of spinach. and they put it in capitals. Popeye energy. That's the cabbage. Popeye must take the cabbage, period. If Popeye have 20 pieces of cabbage, 20, he will have enough energy to attack Brooke. To attack Brooke? I guess that's Brutus or Bluto or whatever his name might be, who always hurt Olivia. Like, you can tell this is like very poorly translated. So Popeye must rescue Olivia from the terrible hole. Scoring. Take 1 cabbage, 300 points. Take 1 obstacle, 100 points. Obstacle? What were they thinking? There's 1 game, 1 player. Yeah, this is awesome. And I know that, so from what I understand from these are, they're pretty much like bootleg. They took the North American game, they rebranded it essentially. I mean, they gave it the same name, Popeye, for some reason. I guess because, it's Popeye. But they rebranded, they kind of created their own box. See how the cartridge looks. I believe Willie gave me this one as well. It was in his little care package. Yeah, so there's the cartridge right there, Popeye, for the Atari 2600. This looks pretty clean. Looks like it, probably wasn't played a lot. Made in Taiwan. There you go. Popeye. That's kind of funny. I don't think there's a... No, no manual. It's just empty. It's an empty box, but that's okay. Still cool. Still an interesting item. I do have the Parker Brothers North American version of the game. Somewhere up there, or maybe over there. I don't know. I have games all over the place here. Like I said, I need to clean. That's essentially what I need to start doing here. Is just start cleaning and going through the man cave. But yeah, Amadar's interesting. Like I brought this up earlier. It does have a pretty big manual. This has an interesting storyline too. But yeah, I've been meaning to do a video on this one. And of course, this is the Parker Brothers game. That's the clam shell, or where? Or not the clam. What do you call it? Just a shell, game shell cartridge. The typical Activision look. Really cool. Well, there's something moving. Something moving in there. I don't know what it is. It's making a really weird sound. But I'm sure the game still works. Don't worry about that. That's what I like about Atari games is, they can take a lick and still keep on ticking, as they say. That's neat. Inside the box, too, it even has the name in there. They did some pretty good work to these boxes. You just gotta be careful, though, because it's like this type of box, like a board game, it makes it difficult to store the game like this. Hey, it's Mr. Po-Style. I was just talking about Popeye. Mr. Po-Style loves Popeye. And this is the Taiwan version, the overseas version, or the one that the other people got that we didn't get here in America version. Well, I'm not in America. I'm in Canada, but, you know, North America. I also have my, whoa, spilling everything. Spilling everything. Like I said, I got the Pandora incident here. Ooh, I need that version. Yeah, yeah, it's hilarious. I mean, look at it. That's what they called Popeye, and he doesn't even have the muscle, and he eats cabbage. It's kind of hilarious. Oh yeah, the Pandora. I'll be right back. Pandora. This is the Pandora incident. Yeah, I just recently played this. I did a video on this. I picked up a whole bunch of games from Homebrew Inc. And you know, I played a few of them. One of them being this one, Miner 2049er, which I like this game. I always like this game on the Commodore 64. And so to have it on the Intellivision is amazing. And this one's cool because it was programmed by none other than Oscar Toledo G, the guy who created the Inti Basic software, which I use to make my own games. And I've talked about that a few times. He created the book, the Programming Games for the Intellivision, which ultimately led me to creating my own. Well, this is my first release game, the Keystone Cops game, which was, you know, it's okay. I had a lot of fun actually making this game, and you know, when I was programming it, obviously I wasn't thinking that it would ever see the light of day. It wasn't my intention for that. It was really just I was learning how to program on the Intellivision. I mean, I already knew how to program. I've done a lot of programming in the past on my Commodore 64, on my computers. You know, I did QBasic programming on the PC, and I did back in school. I did GW Basic for one of my classes, and then in college I did programming for in Flash. What was it? Adobe Flash, and what else? Director, Macromedia. Was it Macromedia Director? And that's where I learned a lot of object-oriented programming and stuff like that. And I had a lot of fun doing that. But the thing is, both Flash and Director kind of went the way of the dodo. I'm sure there's people who still program in it and still use it, but like Macromedia Director, when you made anything in that, the person had to have the Shockwave player in order to actually. I'm having a hard time here with getting the game in. That's what I'm fiddling with the game here. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm trying to get the game to fit snug in here. I think there we go. I got it. All's right with the world. No, yeah, so the Macromedia Director, do I only have one overlay? Oh, wait. Got worried there. I thought I only had one overlay, but I got two. With, like, what was I saying? Macromedia Director, yeah. You need to have the Shockwave player in order to play it, but I remember back in college when I was learning how to program, I started to use classic or you know, retro video games as my way of learning how to program. And so I started working on a Donkey Kong game, which I had a lot of I had a lot of help from my friend who was a really good programmer, to kind of guide me through it, and I actually got the first board. I only programmed the first board. I didn't get the second or any other boards, but it worked. It was like a working Donkey Kong game, and you know, it wasn't too bad. It was functional. And then from there I did Perfection, which I also ended up doing on the Intellivision. I called it Perfect. and that's a free download on my website. If you go to my website, briansmancave.com, there's an Intellivision tab at the top there, and I have my perfect game there. You can download the ROM. It's a very simplified version of perfection, but it works. It was fun. But that helped me learn programming. And then what else did I do? I think I did Frogger, and I think I did another one. I did a few different games on it, and I had a lot of fun doing that. And I started working on like a almost like a Zelda style game, and then I kind of moved away from it because people were not using the Shockwave player anymore. It was no longer supported. Flash was still going pretty strong at the time, but even that started to go away, and then I kind of gone away from the whole programming thing for quite a long time. And I was getting that itch. I was like, I wish I could program again, but I don't know what to program on. You know, I tried to understand like Visual Basic and PC stuff. And then I started to see Atari 2600 programming. People programming on the Atari 2600 with Atari Basic. I started seeing these videos on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, cool. I would love to make my own Atari game. And then I started looking into it. I'm like, I'm gonna look into it because, you know, even the big guys are making new Atari games today. You know, this is Circus Convoy from Audacity, and you know, these are the guys who worked for Activision, or well, I mean, David Crane. He pretty much started Activision with a few people, and Gary Kitchen, you know, creator of a lot of great games, including Keystone Capers, and they're still making Atari games today. So I thought, wouldn't it be fun to make some Atari games? And so I started to do some, you know, looking into it and looking into the background, you know, looking at what websites had available. I was trying to find some books because, you know, as much as I don't mind going on websites to learn stuff, I'd rather have a physical book, you know, something tangible, something, you know, something you could like pick up and bookmark and read at your leisure. Doing that with web pages, you know, it's okay, but I don't know. I just felt like having a book would be cool. And I was on Facebook one day, and then all of a sudden I saw Oscar Toledo G, the guy who did this game. He had a link, or he was, no, I think, yeah, he had a video, I think, of his programming games for Intellivision. And I went, oh, cool. You know, Intellivision is my favorite system, my favorite console. I'd love to learn how to program on that, but I had no idea, like, if it would be too complex, if it was going to be crazy, like, what kind of programming language would be involved, what you'd have to understand. And so I texted him, or I sent him a message. I'm like, I'm intrigued by this this book of yours. How difficult would it be to understand this language? And I told him I did a little bit of basic programming in my time. I understand QBasic and all that other stuff. And he essentially was like, hey, if you understand QBasic, you're going to be fine with this. So I took a stab at it. I'm like, all right, sold. I jumped on the bandwagon, bought the book. And, you know, I at first I was like, did I make a mistake? Because, you know, it was like $40 I think I paid. I'm like, no, did I just buy a book that I'm just going to complete? It's going to be like, whoo, over my head. I'm not going to understand it. You know, I was worried at first that, you know, what if it's something I don't get? And no, I got the book. I started off right away following his instruction. Now, the only thing is, though, he did the book a couple of years ago, so there was a lot of improvements to the software. There's been some changes and updates, and you know, a lot of things changed since the book. So when I was trying to follow the book exact, I was running into some a little bit of issues because I was downloading some of the more modern stuff. But I was able to circumvent that by going on the Atari Age forums, which there's a lot of programmers and people on there that are just willing to help, including Oscar himself, who helped me out a lot. when I was trying to wrap my head around the whole programming aspect and how to figure it out and how to, what's going on. And like, as much as I understand the programming language and I understand how to, do variables and if then statements and procedures and stuff like that, I was still kind of like, wrapping my head around just a few of the differences of actually programming on something like an Intellivision. And I'm still, even to this day, there's still a few things that I'm like, I don't fully understand, like how the stack works and all this. It gets into like the real grit of it, and I'm like, I don't get it. But the programming aspect I do understand. So yeah, so I jumped into buying the book, and I was able to start. But yeah, so Miner 29er is one of Oscar's games. He's done quite a few games, actually, a lot of great games. And I'm glad he did this one, because, and apparently, well, not apparently, but it says in the manual that they actually worked with the original designer of the game, the original programmer. What's his name? Bill Hogue or something? I don't know if I can find it in here. I can't see because my eyes are terrible. But yeah, Bill Hogue. Yeah, it's on the back here. And that's one thing about Electronite. So this is an Electronite game. And that's the one thing about Electronite is that they don't want to publish IPs unless they have permission to do so. So they actually got permission from the original designer of this game, who had held the rights to the game. And not only did they get his permission, but he also created some new levels to actually go in this game. And this is much like the Pandora incident, the same box, the same, the cartridge fits in there nice and snug. You don't need that plastic tray like in the originals. The original Intellivision games had that plastic white tray. This one actually fits the cartridge nice and snug. Got the overlays here. Although I wonder what the overlays, if they're important or if, I mean, it's kind of neat. That's the overlay there. Select player, pause, jump, clear. Yeah, it's more for aesthetic. You don't need the overlay to play the game. It's just telling you 1 and 2 are for 1 player, 2 player, and then 3 is the pause button. Which is interesting because that's another thing I've been kind of going back and forth on with a lot of the games that I've been writing myself, creating myself, is adding the pause feature and deciding which button will make the game pause. And I guess it's been a long-running, well-known thing that to pause, not all, but some Intellivision games, you push the 1 and the 9 together, and that pauses the game. I don't know how many of the original 125 have that option. I haven't actually tested it or tried it, but that seems to be the growing consensus, is the push the 1 and the 9 and you pause the game. But for other games, like some newer homebrew stuff, people are just deciding on certain buttons. So like, in this case, I guess it's button 3 to pause the game instead of 1 and 9. But yeah, I mean, you can use whatever. I guess you're going to want to pick a button that you're not going to accidentally push, but let's see, we got the manual here. Pretty cool manual. The Electronite seal of quality. Yeah, they designed their own manuals. They got this more of a squarish, lesser, like a little bit smaller than I think the original manuals for the Intellivision, if I believe. A message from Bounty Bob. Yeah, original game by Bill Hogue. Graphics Oscar Toledo. Gutierrez? I have no idea how to pronounce his name properly, and I'm afraid I'm just going to butcher it. That's why I just call him G. And actually, a lot of the times he just refers to himself as Oscar Toledo G. What do we got in here? Technical assistance Joe, another name I can't pronounce. Zbyszek. He's the guy that pretty much, well, he created the LTO flash card. I know that. He's got a lot of history within television. Special thanks, Bill Hogue. So yeah, pretty cool game. I need to play this more. I really like the game. I have the Atari ones here, right over there, the Atari 2600 versions, and they're painful. The Atari 2600 game for this is not good. It's very slow. In the fact that the way the character moves, it's like, I don't know how to put it. He just like slow. So, but yeah, this one actually is really good. This one reminds me of the Commodore 64 version that I was used to, because that's the one I've always played. I also have a bunch of, well, these are boxes that were made up from Intellivision Revolution while I was contemplating, or, well, programming and making the games. He made this one here, Space Taxi. That's one that I started working on. So obviously the game it's not finished yet. I'm still working on it. But I guess he was inspired, so he decided to make the box. He even put some of the screenshots in there from the game that I started working on. Actually, I'm looking at these now, and I know I've changed some of the graphics around. But these were early graphics. That's really cool. It's a game that I need to finish. I think I got about 8 or 9 levels in. The thing is with Space Taxi is there's a lot of levels. Like the main, or I think there's like 48 levels in the original game. So whether you're doing the 24-hour or the 48-hour or whatever, or the first 24 hours or the next 24 hours. So yeah, that's that. He also created a Grand Prix. I don't think he's ever sold this one yet. The game is almost, I think the game is pretty much finished. I don't know if there's much more I can do to it. But I originally made this game for Willie from Arcade USA because he kind of requested it. He's like, oh, can you make a Grand Prix game? And I thought, Grand Prix, that's interesting. This game, obviously, it's from the Atari 2600. This game is very simple. It's literally just a car going up and down, avoiding obstacles. Like I think it's oil slicks and stuff like that. And there's like a lake, like you go through a bridge so you don't run into the water. And so when I started programming this one, I thought, well, what can I do to Grand Prix to make it any different? And so I just kind of added in a bunch of things. Like there's a store where you can buy things. So basically, when you end the race, you win some money. I think there's other ways I added in there to get money too. But eventually, you could buy things like tires that don't slide on the oil slick. The water. In the Atari version, the bridge is always in the center. So in my version, I made it kind of off, like there's like different, what do you want to call it? So the bridge might be up in the top or in the middle or in the bottom kind of thing. So I kind of changed that. I also created an option where you can buy the ability to ride on water. It's kind of like in Spy Hunter. If you ever played Spy Hunter, when you go through this thing and all of a sudden you become a boat. So I thought it'd be cool to just have this kind of like boat conversion of your car that you can now drive on the water. So I added that so you can purchase that. I also added a missile so you can actually shoot cars. Hey, it's Atari 2600 dude, what's up? I also added an option where you could shoot a missile and blow up the cars in front of you. And I added the question mark box, kind of like what you see in Super Mario Brothers, the question box where he hits it and then something comes out. So I included that in this game. You have to shoot it with the missile and you get like a bonus point or something. So what else did I add? I think I added something else. well, been a while since I actually looked at this. I have to get back into this one. But yeah, so Revit and Television Revolution, he decided, hey, let's make a box for it. Hey, how's it going, SJ? Is that SJ? Yeah. He's like, let's make a box just to inspire me to make the game and complete it. But I'm pretty sure he hasn't actually sold this as a complete game yet. I think he just made the box for me. So that's there. The other one that's interesting is this one here, the Donkey Kong 3 box. Now, he made this way before I started programming. And in fact, this has a date on the back of 2020. And it's got a different person as the creator of the game. Now, I think what happened was he originally wanted to... he started working on this game with somebody. Hey, Michael, what's happening? He started working on this game, and I guess it kind of just went to the wayside. And he asked me at some point, he's like, hey, would you be interested in making Donkey Kong 3? And I thought about it for a sec. I'm like, you know, first of all, can I do it? Second of all, you know, it's not one of my more favorite of the Donkey Kongs. I think I got the, no, I got it. I know I have it back there. Yeah, right there. Yeah, I got it right here for Nintendo. GP has a... Oh, yeah. Yeah, it hasn't been so... Yeah, so I know I got the Nintendo version. And this was the first time I ever heard of the game. I saw this in a store one day, and I'm like, Donkey Kong 3? Since when did that exist? I didn't even know the arcade existed. And I bought it, and I came home. Good morning from Perth. Hey. Oh, wow. You're in the morning. It's nighttime for me. Here in good old Canada. And yeah, I bought this. I came home and I was like, this isn't Donkey Kong. Like, this is... Yeah, Donkey Kong's in it. I guess, the ape. But this guy shooting him with this bug spray stuff is not Mario. And but anyways, yeah, so I thought it was interesting. And so I took on the challenge. I'm like, sure, I'll put something together. And so I did that. Actually, I put a few videos on my channel already of some little bit of footage. But anyways, I put the game together. I didn't do the graphics. I've just been doing the coding. A couple of Aussies on here. Cool. Few Aussies. Australian. Yeah, I didn't do the graphics. But I was able to take the graphics and create the game. Except after I was done, I kind of had the 3 boards. And that's it. Like, Donkey Kong 3 has 3 boards. And that's it. And they just keep looping. And I thought, that's kind of boring. So I decided to get a little creative and create my own boards. Essentially. I'm like, I'm going to, you know, come up with some good concept. And I think that's kind of been my thing ever since I made this one, Fast Food. Which is... Brian is up late, almost 11. Yep, that's true. It's almost 11. I have no idea. Yeah, I think I started around just after 10 something. But yeah, when I did Fast Food, I programmed it and I sent it off to the testing group on Atari Age. And you know, some of the feedback I got was like, yeah, it's okay. It's a game I wouldn't play for more than 5 minutes. You know, it gets kind of boring. Not a lot to it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I need to add to it. Because if you ever play this on the Atari 2600, it's really just the same thing over and over again. The food comes in faster, but not much changes. And so I ended up adding in a couple of my own levels. And they threw some ideas out there. You know, like, oh, what about giant pickles that come after you instead of just small pickles? And what about pills that fall from the sky, like antacids and stuff? And so I took their ideas and I kind of incorporated it, and I ended up making all these extra levels. So when you play this, the first level is like if you play my version, the extended version of it, the first level is like normal. Then the second one is like a pickle dodge, where you can't die, essentially. Like pickles are just everywhere, and it's all about trying not to get too many of the pickles. Glad you're able to get food fight at course. Cool. And then after that, then it goes to the, I think the next one was the antacid stage, where I have 2 pills falling from the sky as you're trying to eat the food. One will stun you, the other one will heal a purple pickle. Then I have, I think the next level after that is spicy pickle, where an orange spicy pickle is chasing after you. So you got to try and get the food and avoid the spicy pickle, which is fun. And then I think after that is the large, like the big pickles, like giant pickles coming after you. So yeah, so I kind of took that concept and incorporated, the same idea with Donkey Kong. Yeah, it's good that he adds to the old one. Always loved fast food on the 2600. You made it so much better. Thanks, man. So yeah, that's what I did with Donkey Kong 3. I'm like, you know what? It's boring with 3 levels. It's got to have more. And so I added one level where it's just sort of like the same thing, but there's a lot more holes on the platform. So it's a little bit more hard to navigate around. Then I made the next level after that has the conveyor belts, which is fun. So all the whatever you want to call these things, platforms, they're conveyor belts. One's going one way, then the other's going the other way, and then the other's going back the other way. So you got to jump on those, and you're constantly moving. And then I made another level where there's like a little plank going back and forth. So you got to like jump on. You either have to try and get Donkey Kong by jumping, or you have to jump on this thing, but you're gonna have a hard time because it's going back and forth and you can't stop it. So things are coming at you. So it's a little bit of a challenge there. Then I added, what was it? I think there was like another one after that, and then the final board where you, once you complete that one, then you go back to the beginning. So yeah, I had a lot of fun creating that. Like I said, this is the original prototype box that Rev sent me. He sent this to me a long time ago, and then I started working on it, and I put the game on hold for a bit. So this time, it's I'm literally almost done. Aiden Toledo, Oscar's brother, he did the music. He's already sent it to me. So I think that's all I have to do right now. I think I have to put the music in, maybe a little bit of sound effects. I'm not sure right now. I'm going to see how it goes with the music. But if I do put in some sound effects, it's going to be very minimal. It's not going to be a lot of sound. And yeah, I think then the game's ready to go. And hopefully those who go to... Well, that's a good question, Atari 2600 dude. But those who go to the Portland Retro Gaming Expo will get a chance to pick one up. Now, Atari 2600 dude just raised a great point, and that's the copyright issue. Of course, this is Donkey Kong. We don't own the name, the rights. That's a Nintendo product. I think what Rev does is he just prints them in such small batches that literally they fly under the radar. And in most cases, the Intellivision community is very small. I mean, I've been trying to sell my Napoleonic Wars game. And I think a lot of the people who wanted this game pretty much already bought it. And, that's about 40 to 100 people. So it's not a big market, and even if you are using someone's copyrighted material like Donkey Kong, if they were to send a cease and desist note, fine, we'll stop production. Yeah, Atari Age, they did that because Atari bought Atari Age. So the official Atari company bought Atari Age. And so when that happened, all the ROMs disappeared. Well, pirated ROMs, I guess you want to call them, or illegal ROMs, not the homebrew stuff or anything like that. But as far as I know, all the ROMs disappeared, and they did their last chance sale, which I jumped in on. I actually bought 2 games, which I'm still waiting for. Still waiting for them to show up, which is interesting because Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala, if you ever watch his channel, he does a lot of homebrew stuff, video games, and television stuff, and he lives about half an hour, 40 minutes from me, and he got his games from the last chance sale, and I'm still waiting. So hopefully I get mine soon because I'm kind of excited about them. But yeah, it's interesting that, yeah, things like this, like Food Fight. This is you know, Atari owns the rights to this game and the likeness and all that other crap. So you know, if they want to come after, hey, there's Mike's Gaming Gala now. We're just talking about him. If they want to come after us and say, hey, you can't sell that game, I'm sure Rev would just be like, fine, I'm not going to sell the game, and that's the end of it. I do have the ROMs for sale. Not this one, but I do have Food Fight. Sorry, Fast Food. What else do I have? I don't have Napoleonic Wars. Unfortunately, I cannot sell the ROM for this. This is owned by Intellivision Inc. I sold them the rights to the game, so they own the game, not me. So I can't sell the ROM to this. And, well, Food Fight, not yet. I'm going to wait till this game gets released. Still waiting on your last game for the last chance. Mr. Postel's still waiting for one of his games. What other ones? No, the ones I have, so Keystone Cops. I do have the ROM for that. I'm hoping through Intellivision Revolution that he will send me some more copies of this, or any of these. He did mention sending me some copies of games that I can sell, but he didn't specify which ones. So I don't know if it's going to be the newer ones that we're working on right now, like Donkey Kong 3, or what's the other one? What else am I doing for him? Doing Donkey Kong 3. Oh, he's doing a Pac-Man compilation, which I did a Miss Paku Paku Deluxe. If you're familiar with the Miss Paku Paku game I made, where it's literally Pac line, single line with the Pac-Man, and then that's it, and then it just gets harder each turn. So I decided to create a deluxe version of that, and that's gonna show up on his Pac-Man compilation, where he's gonna have Miss Pac-Man and a few other games on there. But basically, Miss Paku Paku Deluxe. It's kind of interesting. I included the original game, which is just a single line, which you might have played. I have it available on my website right now, on briansmancave.com to download. But the deluxe one, if you play mode 2, you first do the single line, and when you complete it, a second line appears. So now you got 2 lines. And there's a little pathway you can actually go down, so you can go sort of like, you know, just similar to how the Pac-Man maze is. Yeah, part of the Inti Basic compilation. It was fun, yeah. So that was the original game. So the deluxe one, you get the first line when you complete it, then you get the 2 lines. Then when you complete the 2 lines, then a third line appears. So then you got the 3 lines you have to complete, then a 4th line. And I also included in there what do I call it? Like a super power pellet. So when you're on the stage with the 4 lines, a super power pellet will appear. And if you eat that, it goes into like a storage. So then you can use that at any time you want. So if you get into a predicament where the ghost is on your case and you're in trouble or whatever, you just press a button. You press a button. I think it's I think right now I have set to press button 2. Then you get the power pellet. So just a little bit of an extra stuff to it. Yeah, like Mousetrap, exactly. Just like Mousetrap, where you get the cheese things and you can like execute it at one point. So look out for that. That's going to be at the next Portland Retro Gaming Expo. Actually, I have a few games. I also have a game coming out through the immortal John Hancock. If you're familiar with him, he's a YouTuber. He reached out to me about a year ago asking me to make a Block'em and Sock'em for the Intellivision. He's already made it for the, well, he originally made it for the Sega Genesis, had it made for the Sega Genesis. And it's a neat game. It's like a puzzle game. He wanted it to be a simple pick 'em up, play 'em type of game. You know those games, just like Tetris or whatever, you can just pick it up and play it. And so you play as John Hancock, so you play as himself, and you have to throw blocks up, and there's all these blocks at the top, and you have to match the color with the block you're holding to hit the colors. And essentially, you eliminate all the blocks, and then you move on to the next level. And there's about 17, 18 levels, I think. Or, no, actually, Magnavox Odyssey version. Yeah, so you essentially go on until you maybe it's like 21 levels. I can't remember. But, yeah, so I programmed that. It's really cool. It's got some IntelliVoice in there, so there's voice going on. So that's going to be sold at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo too. So quite a few of my games will be available. I don't know if I'll have any more. I know Rev was asking me if I have any more games, but some of the ones I'm working on now, I just started working on Bruce Lee. So if you've ever played Bruce Lee on the Commodore 64, and I believe it was on the Atari 8-bit as well. I don't know what else it might have been on, but I played it on the Commodore 64 a lot when I was a kid. It was one of my more favorite go-to games. So I started working on that. But I wouldn't expect that game to be done this year anyways. I started working on it, and a lot more to go through. Other homebrews that I did was Boing. This one again, an Atari 2600 game. A little bit more of a rare title. As long as you're not porting the Jaguar Bruce Lee, that one's balls. Oh, I've never seen that one. Jaguar one. Yeah, so I did Boing. I think he sold this one last year as well at the Intellivision Revolution booth. The problem was, though, we didn't do enough testing on this one. I think this was like a last minute, let's throw it in there game, because I literally did not get the chance to test it thoroughly on an actual Intellivision. I was testing it on my PC. And the problem with that is you're not using a real controller on the PC. At least I'm not. When I'm programming, I'm using the arrow keys, which is fine for right and left and stuff like that. But when I found out afterwards, if you're using an Intellivision controller, you could end up, your little bubble dude can end up getting stuck. So essentially there's a controller issue, which I fixed for my ROM. So if you purchase the ROM on my website, it's fixed. There's no problem there. But the few that he ended up selling at the Portland Retro PRGE, Portland Retro Gaming Expo, gotta learn how to say that properly. There was a few that were put out that or not, the joystick can slip, or the character can slip. So, but yeah, I mean, it happened, right? I think he was just trying to get as many games out as possible. So that's gonna happen, right? I think I bought that one. Haven't played it yet. Now I'm scared to. Yeah. Well, if you can, have to buy your ROM. If you can, how can I say it? it really only matters when you're going crazy on the controller, and I think that's when I noticed it would happen. And I think it was Papa Pete that originally noticed the problem. He was actually live streaming the game when it happened, and I was actually watching it, going, "What the heck just happened there?" Atari 2600 dudes, have you been getting into the Atari 26? Not yet. On my list. I also added ColecoVision to the list too, so I got a lot of things to do. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah. So unfortunately, people who bought the Boeing, I don't know if what Rev is gonna do, if he's gonna produce any more copies of this game. But yeah, we did fix the ROM, and I did find out at that time that there was an issue. There was a little bit of testing, but I don't think enough. And that's the thing, when you're making these games, you got to do a lot of testing. You got to have a good testing group. Like when we did Napoleonic Wars, Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala will know. We did a lot of testing on that, and he does a lot of testing himself on all the Electronite games. You know, there's a lot of testing that needs to happen. Can't just rush these things out. Happy to test for you anytime. Yeah, no problem. Actually, we should include you in the group. But yeah, testing is good. Then there's games like this one, my Rags to Riches game. I knew that this was not going to be a favorite for everyone. This was a labor of love for me. This was my favorite, one of my most favorite games on the Commodore 64 when I was growing up. I played it a lot with my friends. In fact, I even dedicated the game. When you boot it up, there's a kind of an in memory of my friend that I used to play this game a lot with. He was my neighbor, my next door neighbors growing up as a kid. Him and his sister, we were all best friends, and we played this game a lot on the Commodore 64. And he passed away a couple of years ago, like 2 years ago, and it was a terrible accident. He was scuba diving. I don't know. We still not really sure what happened, but yeah, it was a tragic accident, and it sucked because I didn't see him for a long time. It's probably the last time I saw him was in the 90s, sometime in the 90s. So, and it was something that I was always hoping I'd go and get back together and hang out with him for a bit. But anyways, I was friends with him on Facebook, just like his sister. And when I heard the news, it was awful. And but anyways, I was right in the process of finishing the game, and I decided to dedicate it to him because I knew he loved this game too. And it's not an easy game to just pick up and just start playing because you're not going to understand it. And I didn't understand it either. When I got the game, when I first got this as a kid, I got it off a friend. Back in the day with Commodore 64, computers and all that, you were always copying games off your friends. It's like, here's a game, then you just copy it. It was common. It was normal. We were all pirates back then. But yeah, so I got this game. I got the Rags to Riches game, and I kept playing it. And of course, in the beginning, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was dying all the time. I was like, I don't get it. But I thought it was intriguing. And eventually, playing it enough times, I learned the game inside and out and backwards. And now I can play it no problem. And so I think that's why I knew I would be able to program the game, because I know the game so much. All I had to do was go online and look at the level design, to get the level of the boards, I should say, to get the design of the game out. But I knew how the game functioned, and I didn't have to, worry about that part. But yeah, it does take a little bit of playing around. There is a little bit in the beginning to tell you how the game is supposed to play out, but yeah, I mean, it's a life strategy game. You're a poor bum hobo trying to make its way out in the streets and trying to become rich. That's pretty much the premise of the game. There's so many great games that came out on the Commodore 64 that not many people know about. Exactly. You know, that was my thing. You know, I'm sure a lot of people never heard of Rags to Riches, and so making it a game for the Intellivision was a lot of fun, and I'm glad that I was able to do that. And like I said, I did make this available also on my website. You can download the ROM. You know, I'm planning. I've been saying this for a while now. I'm planning on doing a video to kind of run you through it, to show you how to play it. I've kind of done videos like this before with the Commodore 64 version, so if you want to jump to that one, you can always do that. You just go on my channel and search out Rags to Riches, and you'll find I think I did a live stream. Now that I think about it, I think I did 2 videos. I did one a long time ago, where I kind of just played the game, and then I talked about it. I think I did a full-on live stream of it. And the only difference is, too, is that the original game, you can't actually, like, there's no ending. It's one of those games, you know those games where you get to the high score and then it just kind of resets? That's what the original one does. So the goal is to get to 1 million. Your goal is to go from like 0 money to 1 million in the shortest amount of days possible. So in the Commodore 64 version, once you hit the 1 million, or you go over the 1 million, the money resets back to like 12,000 or something. It goes to this really weird number. And that's it. And you basically won the game at that point. In mine, I actually put an end screen. So once you hit the 1 million, you have it. It's not a complicated end screen. I mean, it's just an end screen. But at least I threw that in there because I always was like wondering why the original never had an ending. Why it never had an end screen. It was just like, it would just be like, you know, rolling the counter over, rolling the score over, rolling, you know, whatever. Anyways, yeah, I think I've been got to 1 million and then have to pay taxes. Yeah, I gotta pay taxes. Anyways, this was a fun first attempt at a live stream from the man cave. Like I said, I haven't done this before. I haven't tried doing the streaming over my phone. I always did the streaming upstairs in my office where my computer is, and it was usually like streaming video games and stuff. But I thought it'd be fun to just do some like relaxing, chill streams like this where I just kind of talk. I didn't know if I'd be able to see the chat, but I can see the chat, which is cool. Yeah, Mike's Gaming Gala seems to work well. That was my only concern. I'm like, I thought if I were to try live streaming over my phone, I wouldn't see the chat, and I'd probably have to set up a second computer somewhere just to see the chat. But it does pop up. The stream is clear and the audio is great. Awesome. Another thing I was worried about, because this is right from my phone. I don't have a microphone in front of my face. That's my iPhone I'm staring at. And, you know, just me in the man cave. Anyways, thanks everyone for popping in today. This was my experiment. And, yeah, if people like this, maybe I'll do some more. I can come up with some ideas and some topics, or maybe just chillax and see what people have to say. And, yeah, just have some good time. Actually, the only thing I don't know how to do is to actually type if I wanted to add something into the chat box. But that's okay. I can talk. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse right now. I probably swallowed a horse. But, anyways, I should bring a drink with me next time. I need water, like a jug of water. Big, fat jug of water. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming out, watching the stream. All the people in there. It's been a great time. Hope you subscribe to my channel. If you haven't already, do it. Down there somewhere. And bye Atari Dude, bye Mike's Gaming Gala, and everybody else that joined in. Talk to you later.